coming up on the Lead Ministry Podcast.
Because if we're honest, most of what we do as church leaders is kind of compressed into this really tight window. We've got Sunday morning, we've got midweek, and then silence until next Sunday. And so these tools, they're going to help you fill the gap.
Now your host, Josh Denhart.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Lead Ministry Podcast. Grateful that you're here. Today's going to be a fun day. We're talking about digital tools, 5 of them, 5 digital tools that you absolutely shouldn't live without. Digital tools that you should know. Well, my name is Josh Denhart. We're grateful that you're here. And like I said, today's going to be a special day. Not only are we going to talk about 5 digital tools that can change the game for you, we're turning the entire thing over to Bill Van Kirk. Now, of course, you know Bill. He is on the podcast with me, and Bill is quite a guy. He knows what he's talking about, and I would say that Bill is my resident expert as it relates to digital tools. Now, the very first one that we're going to talk about today is SermonDrip, and I really want you to pay attention to this one, because when a 37-minute sermon is done, that content, that wonderful content that your pastor or you yourself labored hard over all week long, you've got a 37-minute fantastic sermon. The content shouldn't end there. And so SermonDrip is a fantastic tool that really elongates that 37-minute message and turns it into usable, ready-made content for the rest of the week. Well, let's turn it over to Bill as he talks about these 5 digital tools that really help you to make the most of your ministry. All right, let's jump in.
Hey, thanks, Josh. I'm Bill Van Kirk, and I'm often the co-host of the Lead Ministry Podcast, but I'm also a pastor. And so at my church, I oversee one of our campuses. I'm on the main teaching team, and I'm also someone who's been in the trenches with digital tools for years. In fact, I lead digital communications for our whole church. And so I want today to cut through the noise, because I know you've seen the headlines, you've been advertised to all these things, AI, this, digital, that, and it can feel like drinking from a fire hose to see what actually works. And so here's what we're going to do today. I'm going to give you 5 very specific tools that I use in real ministry every single week. And I'm going to show you why they matter. Now, these are tools that help pastors and ministry leaders save time, think better, communicate clearly, and extend discipleship beyond Sunday. And that last part, extending discipleship beyond Sunday, that's really the whole game. Because if we're honest, most of what we do as church leaders is kind of compressed into this really tight window. We've got Sunday morning, we've got midweek, and then silence until next Sunday. And so these tools, they're going to help you fill the gap. Now, before we get into these tools, let's define what we're actually talking about. Digital ministry is just simply making use of computers and technology, including the internet, to enhance the work of the church and the mission of the church. That's it. It's not replacing anything. It's not futuristic sci-fi things. It's using what's available to do what we've always been called to do, just with less friction. And when I say advantage, what I really mean is any state, circumstance, opportunity, or means that's especially favorable to success or a desired end. And so when you put those two together, you get this. Digital advantage is using technological tools to reach people with the good news with less effort. That sounds pretty awesome to me. Less effort, not less care. Okay, I want to be really clear about that. Not less intentionality, less wasted energy, less spinning your wheels on things that could be streamlined so that you can actually focus on what's required of you. The work that only you can do, the pastoral work, the relational work, the shepherding work that you have. Okay, here's our roadmap. We do this every podcast, 3 sections. Number 1, we're going to define it. Why do digital tools even matter for ministry? Number 2, we're going to develop it. I'll walk you through the 5 tools specifically. And number 3, we're going to do it. I'm going to give you a framework for how to actually think about adopting these tools without getting overwhelmed. Let's jump in. Why good digital tools matter. Let's define it. Here's the reality. Church leaders are under more digital pressure than ever. Think about what's on your plate, okay? You have sermons, staff communication, content creation, planning, follow-up. Every single one of these areas has a digital component now. And most pastors I talk to are kind of overwhelmed by all the options. Or they're still trying to do everything manually the way they did 10 years ago. And can I tell you, neither one of those work. And so here's the key insight. The right tools can remove friction. The goal is not actually more tech. Let me say that again. The goal is not more tech. The goal is effective ministry. If a tool doesn't make your ministry more effective, then drop it. I don't care how cool the tool is. I don't care how many people are talking about it on your Facebook group or X or whatever. If it's not serving the mission, then it's really just clutter. But when you find the right tool, it's kind of like clearing a log jam for your ministry. Suddenly things start to work. Suddenly they start to flow. And so what are the 5 digital tools? All right, let's dig into this. The 5 tools, here they are. They're called SermonDrip, NotebookLM, Claude Co-Work, Canva, and Motion Calendar to be specific. Now, I picked these 5 because I use every single one of them. This is not theoretical. This is what's running in my ministry right now. And so let me walk you through each one of those. All right, number 1 is SermonDrip. Full disclosure, I actually built this, and I built it because I was frustrated. I would pour 15, 20 hours into a sermon, and I'd preach it on Sunday, and people would say, wow, that was really good. And then guess what? By Tuesday, most couldn't tell you what the main point was. Not because it wasn't good, but because life happens. Monday hits, the week takes over, and the Sunday message fades. And so what SermonDrip does is you upload your sermon, the audio of it, the video of it, or even just your notes, and it uses AI to analyze the content and generate a full week of follow-up for you. We're talking daily devotionals tied to your sermon text, reflection questions that go deeper into the passage, application prompts that help people actually live out what you preached. Think about what that means for discipleship. Instead of 1 touch point a week, you can now get like 5 or 6, and they're not generic devotional content from somewhere else. They're drawn directly from your sermon, your voice, your teaching. Pastors keep telling me the same thing. I finally feel like Sunday is carrying into the week. One pastor told me his small group conversations completely changed because people were actually engaged with the sermon material before they showed up for their Wednesday night group. Now, to me, that's a win. The sermon doesn't stop when the room empties. It keeps on working. Let's talk about the next one. This is NotebookLM. This is a free tool from Google. And so what is it? Well, NotebookLM is basically a personal research assistant. You upload your own docs, PDFs, Google Docs, web links, even YouTube videos. And what it does is it creates a private workspace where you can have a conversation with that material. Let me explain what this looks like practically. Say you're prepping a sermon on Romans 8 and you upload 3 commentaries, seminary notes, a couple of articles, maybe a podcast transcript from theologian you trust. And now you can ask NotebookLM questions like, what do these sources say about the meaning of no condemnation in verse 1? It'll pull relevant quotes and insights from only your uploaded sources. Not from the whole internet, not from random AI data sets, from specific material that you trust. And that's what makes this different. It stays grounded in your resources. It's not making things up. It's synthesizing what you've collected. But here's where it gets really powerful for ministry leaders. You can use it for more than sermon prep. Upload your church bylaws and ask it questions about governance structure. Upload your meeting notes from the last 6 months and ask it to surface reoccurring themes. Upload a book your staff is reading together and generate discussion questions. It even has a feature where you can basically create an audio overview of your source material, basically a podcast style summary of your uploaded material. I've used it to listen to a synthesis of my research while driving. It's incredible. And guess what? It's free, completely free. You go to NotebookLM.google.com and sign in with your Google account and start uploading. No subscription, no credit card. For sermon prep alone, this tool has saved me hours every week. I think faster, I find connections I would have missed, and I stay grounded in the text instead of getting lost in rabbit holes. All right, let's talk about number 3, Claude Co-Work. This is made by a company called Anthropic. Now, you've probably heard of ChatGPT. Claude is similar. It's a AI tool you can have a conversation with. But Co-Work is a specific feature that's built for getting real work done, not just chatting, okay? And so here's what makes it different. With Claude Co-Work, you kind of get a workspace like a shared document where you and your AI are working side by side. You can upload files, you can paste in text, and then tell it what you need. It can write, it can edit, it can organize, it can summarize, and create, all while you watch and guide it in real time. So let me give you some ministry examples to kind of help you wrap your mind around this. Say you just finished a 2-hour elder board meeting. You've got messy handwritten notes. Well, you can paste those into Claude Co-Work and say, turn these into clean meeting minutes with action items and who's responsible for each one. Guess what? Done in 60 seconds. What used to take you 30 minutes of cleanup is now handled. Or let's say you write a volunteer onboarding guide and you've got information and it's kind of scattered like a lot of our information is. It's in Google Docs, it's in an old email chain and some stuff in your head. Well, guess what? You can upload all of it and tell Claude what you're building and it drafts a comprehensive and cohesive guide that you can then refine. Instead of staring at a blank page for an hour, you're editing a solid first draft in 10 minutes. Here's another one. You need to write a sensitive email to a volunteer who's been inconsistent. You know what you're going to say, but you want to land it right, gracious but clear. Well, you can tell Claude the situation, the tone you're going for, and it helps you draft something you would be proud to send. The pattern's always the same. You bring the knowledge and the judgment, the pastoral wisdom, and Claude can handle the heavy lifting of turning that into a polished output. It starts at a free tier and then a paid plan is $20 a month. And for the amount of administrative time it saves, it's really one of the best investments that I've made. So every hour you save on admin is an hour that you can spend with people. I'm not trying to be cliche. That's literally what this tool does. But let's look at this next one. Okay, number 4, Canva. Now, some of you probably already know what Canva is, but I want to go deeper than it makes pretty graphics because that really kind of undersells this tool of what it actually does for a ministry team. Canva is actually a online design platform, and you open it in your browser, canva.com, and it gives you really kind of a drag and drop editor with thousands of templates for literally everything. Social media posts, sermon slides, graphics, event flyers, bulletin inserts, presentation slides, video thumbnails, short videos even. Here's why this matters for churches specifically. First, brand kit. Okay. If you're on Canva Pro, you can set your church's colors and fonts and logos in one place. Now, every time anyone on your team creates something, they actually can pull from your brand kit. No more rogue Comic Sans flyers in the men's ministry, right? Everything looks like it came from the same church. Second, templates. Canva has millions of pre-designed templates. But more importantly, you can create your own templates. And so your communications person, or you, if you're a smaller church, creates a template for the weekly announcement slide, the small group promo, the social media post format, and now it takes 5 minutes to upload instead of 30 because the design is already done. You're just swapping the text in the image. Third, collaboration. In Canva, your whole team can work together. And so your worship leader can create lyric sides. Your youth pastor can make the retreat flyer. Your admin can update the bulletin. Everyone working in the same system with the same brand assets. Fourth, it now actually has AI built into it. And so you can generate images and remove backgrounds and resize designs for every platform with just one click. What used to require Photoshop and a designer, Canva puts in the hands of anyone. Here's what I tell my team. Good design is not vanity, it's clarity. When your social media posts look professional, when your bulletin is clean and readable, when your event graphic actually communicates the what and the where and the when, that's not being trendy. That's about respecting people that you're trying to reach enough to communicate clearly. Canva has a generous free tier. Canva Pro is about $13 a month. And for nonprofits, which most of your churches are, they offer Canva for nonprofits completely free. Free pro access. Just apply on their website. All right, let's take a look at this next one. Motion. This one fundamentally changed how I manage my week. And honestly, it might be the most underrated tool on this list. Motion is a task and calendar management tool, but calling it that is like calling a smartphone a phone. It does so much more. Here's the problem it solves. As a ministry leader, you have two kinds of work. You have urgent work and important work. Urgent work is the email that just came in, the crisis counseling call, the broken projector, the volunteer who no-showed. Important work is your sermon, your vision planning, your staff development, your follow-up with that family who visited last week. And what happens every week, the urgent actually eats the important. You get to Friday and realize you never made that phone call. You never started the strategic plan. The sermon got done at midnight because everything else crowded it out. Motion fixes this, and here's how it works. You put all of your task in there, the sermon, the meetings, the follow-ups, the admin stuff, and you tell it how long each task takes, when it's due. And you connect your calendar so it sees your existing commitments, and then Motion AI automatically schedules your task into the open blocks on your calendar. It's not just a to-do list. It actually puts write sermon for 2 hours on your Tuesday morning because that's where you have space. And if a meeting runs over or something shifts, it automatically reschedules everything. It reorganizes your day in real time. And it also prioritizes for you. You can mark things as critical, high, medium, or low, and Motion makes sure the critical stuff gets done first. It'll warn you if you're overloaded and something's going to slip. For me, the biggest win is mental clarity. I don't carry a running to-do list in my head anymore. I don't lie awake thinking, I probably forgot something. It's all in my motion. My brain is free to be present with my family, with my congregation, in prayer, instead of constantly managing the chaos. Motion is $34 a month for the individual plan. And I'll be honest, that's not cheap, but I'll tell you, the first week I used it, I got more important work done than I had in the previous month. It pays for itself in sanity alone. Important work often gets crowded out by urgent work. Motion brings clarity to the chaos. Okay, and so let's talk about how to think about digital tools. You have these 5 tools. Let me give you a framework for how to think about adopting them or any digital tool really. 5 principles. Number 1. Do not adopt tools just because they're new. The biggest trap I see is something launches, everyone's talking about it, pastors feel like they need to jump in on it, or they'll fall behind. And no, this is not a reason. Useful is a reason. If it doesn't solve a real ministry problem, it's a distraction. And so you can skip it. Okay. Number 2, use tools that remove friction from real ministry work. Ask yourself, where am I losing time? Where does stuff get stuck? Where am I doing something manually that actually could be automated or simplified? That's where you start. Not with the tool, with the friction point. Number 3, pain points. Start with your biggest pain point. Don't try to adopt all 5 of these tools next Monday. Pick the one that addresses your most painful problem. If your sermons are dying on Sunday afternoon, start with SermonDrip. If your admin work is eating your week alive, try Claude Co-Work. If communications look unprofessional, start with Canva. One tool, one pain point, master it, and then add the next one. Number 4, choose tools that help you decide, or choose tools that help you disciple, communicate, and lead more effectively. Every tool should pass the mission test. Does this help me make disciples? Does this help me communicate the gospel more clearly? Does this help me lead my team better? If the answer is no, it doesn't matter how cool it is. All right, number 5, make margin. The best tools create margin for what matters most, people. This is the whole point. All of this, every tool, every automation, every system exists so that you have more time and energy for the people who God has called you to shepherd. Technology is the means, people are the mission. Okay, so that's it. 5 tools, 5 principles. If you want to dig deeper into any of these, we've got resources at leadministry.com. And if you want to see SermonDrip in action, SermonDrip.com. You can try it all for free. Thank you so much for your time today. Go build something that serves your people.
Well, there you have it. 5 critical tools that you can use to make ministry easier. Now, hear me out real quick. One of the things that I appreciate about Bill is that he's very cautious about jumping on to just a new tool and a new app and learn this new thing because it's new. The real question is it effective? And does it help you appropriately cut the corners to make great things happen that don't cost you a ton of your time and your energy? So it's not about new tools, as Bill has been educating us. It's about finding good tools that are going to help curb some of the hardship that we might experience in a ministry context. So we're grateful for Bill, and I want you especially to check out SermonDrip. That's the one that I think could change the game, not just for you and your own ministry, but for your entire church. All right, gang. Well, we will catch you good folks on the next one.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of Lead Ministry Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. Make sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and visit leadvolunteers.com for more episodes and resources. Thanks for listening.